Her blonde hair fell limply around her porcelain face. The paint held firmly in the elements of fall and the snowy winter. The blues and greens and the swirly black lines framed her open blue eyes, staring longingly at the dirty brown of the frozen soil. The shiny crystals decorating the Dios de los Muertos design chilled the softness of her baby doll face. Her frilly dress yellowed and disintegrated long ago, and now a colorful fabric was wrapped like a kimono around her soft fabric body. She stood leaning against the frozen branches of the sleeping sage. The concrete gargoyle, her companion, stood next to her, like a guard dog, protecting its mistress. Can you sense it? Sense it in my eyes. Sense it in my soul. She breathed into the microphone of the phone camera when it passed by her while recording the green foliage of the passing summer. Latin music from the neighboring house filled the air with its melodic vibe. Everyday hum of traffic and movement was part of the daily grind of the suburbs the little garden sprouted its herbs and flowers in. The earth held a movement in the small square of the soil and stirred in the larger patches of grass peppered with leaves of dandelions, violets, and broadleaf plantain. Weeds was the term she overheard when classifying the incredible differences of these special plants, and yet no part was done to damage their healing spirit. The girl collected the blossoms for her tea and the leaves for their magic. It was her phone she spoke to. Can you sense it? Sense it in my eyes. Sense it in my soul. The girl brought her inside into her studio. Her blue eyes looked toward the west in the small room. The leaves of the potted plants blocked some of the sunsets that burst through the second-story window, but she was happy to hold on to the extension of her dream of trees. She longed for the trees. She sensed them outside. She held on to her hopes while resting against a pile of books and colorful stones. The earth was calling her. The trees were calling her. The girl sensed her longing. She waited for her to speak again, but this time she remained silent when the camera of the phone passed over her colors. Many weeks passed, and the little garden overgrew with sage, lemon balm, rosemary, and thyme. The small lilac bush got strangled by the ever-climbing morning glories, and the tiny weeping willow planted in the middle got shadowed by the surrounding green of all the plants. A miniature peach tree on the east side of the little garden sprouted extra limbs to add to her 2-foot frame, but failed to raise herself above the menacing sage. There she was placed back into the crook of the sage's embrace, next to the overshadowed gargoyle, awaiting the change of seasons and her final trip to the forest among the tall trees, whispering their secrets just beneath the ground. Can you sense it? Sense it in my eyes. Sense it in my soul. She felt content with the changing seasons. The winter came with patches of snow and a bit of frost, but mostly the days were mild and dry. The sun was scarce, and the sky held onto the gray covers that kept announcing an invisible storm, but mostly it was calm and dark. The girl would walk by her and gaze at her lowered head. She rarely touched her, except on those exceptional days when the cold was overshadowed by the light of the sun, and the girl walked barefoot on the ground and smiled at the sky. It was then that she would touch her face and raise it toward the heavens. Can you sense it? Sense it in my eyes. Sense it in my soul. The promise was made, the first blossoms of spring and the waking leaves on the branches, and she would find her place among the trees of the forest. She waited patiently in the little garden between the sleeping sage and the concrete gargoyle. The wooden fence against her back shielded her from the neighbors next door, and the bigger patch of grass in front kept her safe from the neighbors across. She heard the whispers of the neighboring trees telling her stories of magic and life. She spoke to them back, keeping them calm through the sounds of traffic, shrieking machinery, and the hum of voices. She held on to the promise. The girl would not let her down. Of that she was certain. First sign of spring, and she would find herself in the middle of the forest. There she would become one with the ground, one with the river, one with the wind, and one with the rays of the sun. There she would become one with the trees. The promise was made. The gargoyle would remain, guarding the little garden in the middle of the suburb. The sleeping sage would reawaken around his base. The weeping willow would embrace him with her fallen branches. The morning glory would shelter him from the elements, and the girl would continue to smile at him as she picked the bits of herbs and flowers surrounding him. Can you sense it? Sense it in my eyes, in my soul. And the girl would sense her, and she would smile. I hope you enjoyed this true story from Twisted Fairy Art. Thank you for listening. All the best.